Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I am here. Garrett's there. Amy
Howdy.
joins us again today. Hello, Amy.
Hello. How
How
are
are
you?
you? I'm good. I'm good. 84 Tigers.
Yes.
Is that a retro? That's not a
Yeah, I mean, it's not like an original.
you didn't get that in 84?
No, I was not even an idea in 84.
Yeah, God, that's crazy. That was such a fun year. I was little. But that Tigers team was amazing. So
Yeah,
fun. Yeah. Anyways, welcome to the show, everybody. Lot going on. We've got the confirmation of RFK Jr. going on. I don't know if you've paid attention to it. I'm
I
sure you
did. I
have.
watched it. I watched
Did
it.
you?
Yep,
I've been in and out of it. It's so hard to follow these things. It just,
it is.
you know.
He sounds even, I mean, God bless him. I know he's got issues, but he
Yeah.
sounds even weirder on 2 times speed on YouTube.
Oh, is that what you're watching? 2 times speed?
Yeah, I was watching it
Yeah.
at 2 times speed and then when you go back to watching it at 1 time speed, you're like, how do I ever listen to anybody talk this slow?
Yeah.
Like,
Is
I
that
just
how
am
you watch
used to
most
it now.
things?
It's most things like that, I'll watch at 2 times speed because they're just but like television shows I'll watch at 1 time
Yeah.
speed. But if I can watch it faster, I will, because then when you go back, you're like, holy shit, people
Yeah.
talk slow.
Yeah.
Even when I'll watch this on YouTube and I'll put us at 2 times speed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. You probably can't do that with Ben Shapiro. My
This is
guess
fucking
is
TikTok generation.
Ben
Yeah.
Shapiro would be really hard to listen to.
I
at
never go
2 times
2 times speed with him. I usually max out at 1.5 with Ben. If I'm
Yeah.
listening to Ben.
Yeah. It's remarkable how fast he talks.
I know.
It's really crazy. Yeah, I enjoyed the RFK one. It's just, I don't know. I watch these people and it's just so sad that we're in this time that, where it's like, oh, I'm not on his team, so I have to get my moment so that when next time I'm running for reelection or something, I have my 30-second soundbite
Yep.
where I'm a tough guy, you know?
It's all so disingenuous.
Yeah.
They don't actually want answers from him. They just want to talk at him. Like, even some of them were just like, I'm just going to talk and you just need to listen. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is your show then. You don't really want to know anything. And it's
Yeah.
also funny because those half of those people were on his side like 5 minutes ago
Yeah.
about everything he did. And then
It's my whole takeaway with this. Like, it's the part that makes the least amount of sense to me, because I look at it and if the Dems were smart, which unfortunately we're living in the time we're living in right now, but if they were smart, they would see that they literally got one of their own in Trump's cabinet.
right.
Like, you can't do
I know.
any better. Like, talk about the perfect scenario. This guy literally ran for president on your ticket
Right.
until you fucked him over and
Right.
drove him there. But
There's multiple people in his cabinet that were registered Democrats.
I know.
And when was the last time a registered Democrat put, a registered Republican in their cabinet? That's just not,
Yeah.
it's just not happening. And that's like dream scenario for most people, is like cross ticket, like put
Yeah.
some, if I were in that role, if I were the president, I would have a senior advisor to me be not a complete, idiot,
Lunatic,
like
yeah.
lunatic, but I would have somebody from the opposite side as a senior advisor to me, because you need somebody to check what you're doing and check and how it's going to,
Yeah.
people are going to react. And am I crossing? Like, you need that. And
Yeah.
Washington has gotten so far away from that. It's crazy. But like you said, if they were smart, they would go, we've got a couple people in that administration that we could really work with and get stuff done.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see it. I thought it was powerful when he opened with, for every morning for 20 years, I've taken a knee and prayed to God to find a way to put me in a position where I can help the health of Americans, fix the health problem, the chronic disease issues in America, and help the health of children. And it's like, yeah, I totally believe that. I believe that he believes that, and I believe I mean, you just take a look at him and you're like, yeah, that's a guy that is playing on a different level. And I don't understand, like, this hasn't worked the last 4 years, the previous 8 years, where, oh, he's for it, I'm against it, no matter what it is, doesn't matter. Like, you've got your environmentalist, like the people that I know that are like, oh my God, Republicans just hate the environment and they hate health. And you're like, you realize you have a couple of them like that are dyed in the wool. Like you even if it's like, hey, we disagree on a lot of stuff, that's not for nothing. You do disagree with a lot of stuff with President Trump. That guy wants to get wins. He wants to get, and so whoever he needs to team with, like that. So if you look at that as the opportunity instead of just like we're gonna shit all over it no matter what, we're
Yeah.
gonna get our soundbite and look like a tough guy for TikTok. It doesn't
Yeah,
help
and
the American
to
people.
me, it would seem like better than having a soundbite that you could play during the next election, having results that you could actually show would be even
Yeah.
better than a
Yeah.
soundbite.
Mhm.
So, maybe having a soundbite, committing to, achieving what you want to achieve. And what I don't understand is, and at the risk of getting your show kicked off YouTube here, I'm just asking questions.
We're no
Yeah.
stranger.
What I don't understand is this insistence upon vaccines are safe. They're safe. They've saved
Yeah.
lives. They've done the, and it's
Will
like
you commit?
there is no doubt in my mind that vaccines have done great things. They
Of
have.
course.
But like, why is it not okay to also just maybe examine what those vaccines have done in addition
Yeah.
to stopping the disease that it was created to stop? It did that, but it presumably also did some other things, and it's okay to study that and then weigh that
Yeah.
in society today.
Yeah.
Like, we have a disease that's completely eradicated, for example, but we're still vaccinating against it. If we can show that there's a link to autism there, why can't we weigh the benefit and risk analysis of getting measles versus getting autism? Like, can we
Yeah.
maybe weigh that out? Because it's
Anti-vax.
not
You're
it's not a
anti-vax.
Yeah.
it's not an issue. Like, it's not a pandemic of measles right now. Like, does everybody really need it? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm stupid. You might say, God, if you stopped vaccinating people,
Yeah.
everybody would get the fucking measles again. That might be
Yeah.
the case. But like, I just don't understand this refusal to like talk about that there might be long-term side effects. It's okay. We're
Yeah.
not saying it didn't do what it was meant to do. We're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
putting down the people that made it. We just want to know.
In
There's
addition
a
to that,
reason
putting that
why all of
information,
this is happening.
yeah, and putting
Yeah.
that information out allows people to re-examine the vaccine and maybe find a way where it doesn't do that long term. It allows the people to try and make a solution to the problem.
Yes. Like,
Yeah.
let's
No,
develop it more to make it
it's
better.
it's a gotcha game that we see played out all the time. It's I firmly believe. I remember talking to a doctor friend of mine who was just like, 20 years ago was talking about it's probably in Marshall's lifetime that mapping the human genome and the way medications are going to be produced in the future, like they'll be asking us questions like, wait a minute, you had a vaccine that was the same thing, you guys all took the same thing. Well,
Right.
what about the people that had some rare allergy to,
Right.
like, didn't that fuck them up? And we'll be going, yeah,
Yeah.
they all came with, wait, you just had a pharmacy and it just had all these things and you all took
Yeah.
the same thing. Why would you have all done that? Who would have ever thought that was a good idea? And
Right.
Just
that
looked it
they'll
up.
have medications that are dialed in for your personal little
Mhm.
system, and that's the way it'll
Mhm.
go. So when you take it to vaccines and you want to get on that dais and act like, oh, what are you, anti-vax? It's like, no, but there's a reality to all medications. Every medication you see on TV comes with a list, it's a gag now. It's
Yeah.
a tired joke now. I think I'd rather get the thing than risk all the shit you claim I
Yeah.
could get from taking this. Why would it be any different with vaccines? And why would you not want to have the conversation about it? And
Right.
and
Right.
then to just twist someone's words to make them sound like a crazy person it isn't helping any of us.
Right.
It's not helping the discussion at all. But yeah, I think it's very I think it's very interesting, if nothing more, when you're like, yeah, when I was a kid, like it was, and the numbers are just drastic about how many people had these ailments that we're seeing all the time. 1 in 3 people come into my office and they're either pre-diabetic or diabetic, like young people and diabetes wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
why is it now? Can we ask
Right.
questions about why that is? Why all these
Mhm.
kids? Like, I'm not saying like, oh God forbid, yank us off the air. But
Yeah.
I think it's normal that people would have conversations about this stuff.
Yeah.
And
And, like, also, I think when it comes, like, antidepressants and stuff, there's no doubt that they work. They absolutely work. But can we also maybe, like, look into the long-term effects and maybe, like, what happens when you put somebody younger on it? For example, I mean, full disclosure, I'm not afraid to talk about it, but I'm on one.
yeah,
I've been on it for since I was in high school. I mean,
yeah,
truthfully, I've been on it since I was in high school, and it's now to the point where it's like you've been on it for so long. I mean, I
yeah.
would have to wean myself off of it first, and
Hmm.
then who the fuck knows who I am without it? Honestly, I'd
Yeah,
probably be fine. I think I would be, but I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And was that the best thing to do when I was a teenager? Is put me on that? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, and you
I'd
probably
like to
probably
know.
won't know.
No.
You probably won't. I remember talking about going on. I think it's venlafaxine. I think that was the name of it. And I got bombarded with emails from people like, "Dude, be very careful with that drug," and people telling me horror stories about what they went through. And I ended up getting off it, and I'm okay. I think I stabilized my life a little bit, got a little bit
I Yeah,
more.
I got put on SSRIs in high school, and I just did not like the side effects, getting very sick every morning, things like that. And eventually, I just weaned myself off them and never had an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I,
well, a
You know,
lot
it
of people
I,
affects
do.
your
I figured
sex
out
drive too,
it does bad.
which
Oh yeah,
sucks. Like nobody
yeah.
wants that.
Oh, for sure. I felt that.
Yeah,
Hundred
I
percent.
just ended up looking into like better methods of fixing my issues, like going to the gym, getting an actual, feeling like I have a
Yeah.
purpose in life, or get a job I enjoy, things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Let's hear from some of the. I sent a couple videos. I think it was Senator Wyden.
Yep.
Went after. Well, I think we have video of him dealing with RFK. Why don't we watch that one? I thought
Mr.
this was a good
Kennedy
tweet.
has
Oh,
embraced
this guy.
conspiracy theories,
Jesus.
Conspiracy theory?
quacks, charlatans, especially when it comes to the safety
Gross.
and efficacy of vaccines.
Sorry.
He has
Gross.
made it his life's work to sow doubt and discourage parents from getting their kids life-saving vaccines. It has been lucrative for him
Right.
and put him on the verge of immense power. This is the profile of someone who chases money and influence wherever they lead, even if that may mean the tragic deaths of children and other vulnerable people.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He just doesn't care. Now, if you go to the screenshot, the remainder of that tweet, and people are pointing this out, this is all the money he's taken, and it's like agribusiness, health, $1.56 million, the PAC, $750,000. So he's the guy pointing the finger at this guy. Only
Right.
cares about lining his own pockets and
Right.
making himself rich. He doesn't care if kids die. You're like,
The worst
okay,
part is RFK responding in his voice. It kind of feels like this is just the special ed class having an election.
yeah, right. I mean, it's just
Boy, and I'll tell you, I watched that in 2 times speed. So watching that at regular speed was crazy.
yeah.
Oh, man.
I love these. I can't remember which senator it was like, will you commit to not firing anyone who is working to keep food safe and stop cyber attack? Like anybody that's trying to protect the will you? And he's like, Senator, there's 91,000 employees. Well, I'll take that as a no then.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I would take that as a no, you fucking asshole.
Yeah,
What are you
he's
talking
like,
about?
I commit to not firing anyone who's doing their job. How about that?
Yeah, that's what he said. I commit to not firing. And then who decides if they're doing their job? He's like, yeah, me. You know, the guy
Me.
that's going to
Yeah.
be sitting in this
Yeah.
position of
Hi.
power. That would be me.
Hello.
Yeah. You know,
That's how this
That's actually
works.
why I'm here. I'm here
Yeah.
now, so you can confirm me, so I can make those decisions. Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
me.
that's my job. Senator, there's 2,200 positions you'd like to rid from the HHS. Which offices? Oh, big gotcha moment. He's like, yeah, there's 200 political appointees. So if you got rid, who would you replace them with? People that you want? And he's just like, Biden replaced 3,000 of them with people he wanted. He's like, my time's limited. We've got to move it. You're like, yeah, that's
Whenever
what I thought.
they
Like,
respond, that's what they always say.
Yeah.
My time's
my time is very limited. It's like the American people get nothing out of it, and it's just
They quite literally tap out.
yeah. They were tapping out left and right. It's just
You know,
I-
you know what is kind of cool though? Like, if you in the past, like in the 90s and stuff, if you wanted to watch this, you had to turn on like C-SPAN.
C-SPAN.
Okay. And you had to
Mhm.
sit there and watch that boring ass shit on C-SPAN, and nobody wanted to
no
do
one
it.
did.
But now it's like, I mean, you have like hundreds of thousands of people that are watching this on YouTube,
Mhm.
which is really cool to see people involved and like caring what is going on.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a shift, you know, which
Well, the cool thing is these people have probably our entire lives gotten away with just smearing someone, taking them out of context, and then going, "I rescind my time." And you either watched it on C-SPAN, you didn't have Twitter to go, "Oh, that's hilarious. This guy's going to bitch about lining your pockets with special interests."
Yeah.
Boom. And then post it, and then millions of people can look at it and go,
yep.
yeah,
Quite
that's
literally
about
we
what I
saw.
thought.
Here's
It's
the
just-
clip, and then here's where he lied, right next
Yep.
to each other.
Yeah.
It's sad that it's come to this. They're going to have to adjust to this and not be able to get away with this by being called out for this stuff, held accountable. You know, the conscientious protections. You know, I thought that was an interesting one too. Becerra eliminated it. How about you? Would you eliminate it? You know, this thing. And I thought his answer was great. Like, do you really want to go to a doctor? I hate this argument. Like, they won't bake a cake for a gay couple. It's like, well, then go down the street to another fucking bakery. I don't know what to tell you. Why would you want someone who fucking despises, like, has their own whatever beliefs? They're free to believe whatever dumb shit they want. Why would you want them making your cake anyways? I
right.
worry they'd shit in my cake.
right.
Like, why would you want a doctor who has personal beliefs against what? Find another doctor.
Yeah.
Like, there's other doctors out there, and Kennedy was just like, yeah, I don't know that I'd want to go to the doctor that has these staunch beliefs against what my surgery's about. Like, why
Right.
would I want to go to that guy? It's like, yeah,
Right.
I wouldn't want to go to that guy either.
Right.
I would
Yeah.
go find a new doctor who was like all on board with whatever my beliefs were. If it's that big of a hang up for this individual, then
Yeah.
so
Just like
be it.
I wouldn't want to go to a doctor who had a federal pardon hanging on his fucking wall. Like that
Yeah.
to me would be a big red flag. I'd
Yeah.
be like, I don't know. What were you pardoned for?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you
who,
don't
who
know?
did that?
Yeah.
Who were you speaking of? Anyone
Fauci.
in general? Fauci. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But that dude hasn't seen a patient in 50
No,
years.
no.
You
But
know,
I
like,
mean, like,
he's getting pardoned
he's a
for
bureaucrat.
crimes he obviously didn't commit, right?
he's a bureaucrat and nothing more. You know,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
he is.
remember
he's-
when he said that he was the science?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I'll never forget it. If you question the science, you question
I
Dr.
am the
Fauci,
science.
you're questioning the science.
Like,
It's hard to find that clip, by the way. That clip is not super, like, you would think
But don't challenge me.
Fauci. Yeah, I hope you could find it. That'd be great. If you try to find it, it doesn't pop up like on a Google as easily as it should. Where you would think Fauci, I am the science would be like, there'd be 1,000 results immediately,
Yeah.
pages of it, and everybody playing it. And I'm not saying Garrett can't find it. I've seen it. I've found it, but
And like when it comes to COVID, you know, I've been thinking I've had time to think about the pardon, and I'm fine with it because honestly, what am I going to get out of Fauci's old ass going to jail? I mean, I don't really give a fuck at
Nothing.
this
That's
point.
not the point.
But what I want, and like, I don't want the investigations to stop because at the end of the day, that was a real situation that happened. And
Yeah.
we as humans need to learn from it so that we don't make the same mistakes when it happens again. To pretend as if everything was perfect and it was handled perfectly and nobody made any mistakes is absolutely insane behavior. It's insane behavior. Like,
Yeah.
how narcissistic can you be to sit there and go, I don't need to answer any questions. Everything I did was perfect. I did what I did with the information I had at the time. Like, no, let's look into what the fuck you did that caused this and caused, like, let's look at it. And you know what? You're pardoned. So you can't, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Well, it's not commuted, it's pardoned. So he doesn't, he's going to have to answer questions
Yeah.
if they want to go down that road. I go both ways on this. Like, do we want to waste time or do we just go fuck it? That chapter's over and move forward.
No, we have
But
to.
yeah, I kind of think so too. It was so damaging to people,
So
I mean,
damaging. And I mean, we need to know when the next pandemic happens, like, hey, time out before you lock all of us up for I don't know, 2 years. Can we maybe pause to think about what it's gonna do to our kids? Because
Yeah.
we experienced this before and we have this past experience. So
Yeah.
like we need to look into that and we need to examine what happened
yeah, yeah.
so we don't do it again.
Yeah, no, that would be ideal. Instead, it's like, oh, he's not on my team. So everything he says is obviously wrong and evil. Like, it's just the dumbest, counterproductive. It goes against, it's only hurting us in the end. They don't play by the same rules. They don't have the same, anything. Were you able to find that, Garrett?
Yeah, I think so. It's on Face the Nation, right?
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds right, but I get those confused.
Well, here's what I found real quick.
Is that there's a distinct
Of course,
anti-science
it's like a clipped meeting,
flavor to
so-
this. So if they get up and criticize science, nobody's going to know what they're talking about. But if they get up and really aim their bullets at Tony Fauci, well, people could recognize there's a person there, there's a face, there's a voice you can recognize, you see him on television. So it's easy to criticize. But they're really criticizing science because I represent science.
Yeah.
In the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you're under arrest, Chancellor.
Are you threatening me, Master Jedi?
I can only find
The
it
Senate will
form.
decide your fate.
Yeah, you can get rid of that.
I
Yeah. It's there. I think there's a worse one too, where
Yeah.
he gets
More
more
harder.
heated and says something like, "I am the science." or
Yeah,
something
it's
like
I remember
yeah,
that
it's on
one.
like a talk show
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
I've been looking. You're
yeah.
right. It's a tricky one.
I want to say he was on a screen though. It was via
Yeah.
satellite or something.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He wasn't in studio when he
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, that's
And-
what I have in my mind too.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
But-
like one of those situations where they tried to delete it from the internet and tell us it
Yep.
didn't happen, but we're like,
Yeah.
no, wait, we all saw. You and I have the same image in our mind. Like,
Yeah.
Yellow
him
pants,
like,
But the point is that Garrett should be able to find that. So like, dude,
Yeah.
that's something a point in time that happened in history, like a year ago, a couple years. Like, this isn't old news. This isn't digging through archival footage to find this rare clip. Like, no, that was the nation saw it, and the fact that it's not readily, easily available. I know the nerds can find this. I'm sure Garrett can find that clip too, but they don't make it easy. Is the
Right.
point? Why? Why is that? Everything is out there. Everything's out there, and that isn't, like it doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It's sad watching that. He's going to
Sad.
get confirmed. He's going to get confirmed, and
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing, for this nation. I don't care if he's got a D or an R next to his name. I don't even know what he identifies as now.
Yeah.
Is he an
Yeah.
independent? I don't think he's.
Yeah.
He's never.
I
He was
think
running
so.
independent.
Is he an independent?
He
I
ran
know
independent in the election before dropping out.
Yeah, but that was only because the Democrats fucked him over so hard when he was running as a Democrat. They screwed with
Yeah.
all the rules
Mhm.
to try to kick him out. I mean, this is well documented. But he's a lifelong Democrat, and
Yeah.
to twist someone's words, it sucks for the rest of us because I don't expect the general public to have the time or even the intellect to do a deep dive in that. You count on these people delivering this this information to you to at least be honest about it instead of taking partial quotes, misquotes, taking people out of context, cutting them off as they're trying to explain what that really meant. And it really goes against what they really truly believe. And I know a lot of good-natured people who just go, "Oh yeah, why would you want a vaccine denier in charge of you?" And
Right.
you're like, "Yeah, okay, I know how you
Yeah.
got there,
Right.
but it
Right.
sucks. It really does because he's probably the champion. He is that hero that you didn't know you needed. That holy shit could really make some positive changes to a lot of things. That hopefully he gets through. I think he will.
Yeah,
And
I think he will too.
of all the people, him and Cash Patala that are probably
When's Cassius tomorrow?
I don't know. I know part 2 of RFK is Friday.
Oh, they
Um,
did agree to a part 2?
yeah, I think there's a part 2 Friday where
Mm.
they really get into it. It's just like, yeah, okay. So the ones that didn't get their 30-second TikTok soundbite of them being a tough guy,
Yeah.
they can try to get that on Friday, and then we can end this nonsense. And I honestly, like, I don't expect people to agree with it, but it's like, okay, there was an election. As Obama famously said, elections have consequences, and I knew I wasn't going to agree with Biden's picks here and there, but it's like, hey man, it is what it is. He should be able to put his team together, and
Yeah.
and hey, we'll see how it goes. You put your team together 4 years ago and failed horrifically as far as
Right.
the majority of the country feels.
Right.
They hated what you put together.
Right.
Sorry,
That's
and
what's
they
so
voted
funny
you
about
out for that.
Yeah,
So,
that's what's so funny about these confirmations is like, especially this one, it stuck out a lot. It was like across the board, everybody agrees that it's a shit show. Our
Mhm.
health, the health in this country is a shit show. So
Mm.
it's not like whoever Biden had in there was doing this bang up job and now they have to, replace him with the lowly RFK Jr. No, like both sides agree that it's a shit show. And
Yeah.
so, it's interesting, like, okay, what you tried didn't work the last 4 years, so what's the worst that can happen?
yeah,
I mean, let's
and
try something new.
and keep
And
in
this guy
mind,
was on your team 5 minutes ago.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
It is
what are we doing?
not
He's
to
a
mention who.
Kennedy.
It's a Kennedy, hilarious.
Kennedy.
And you had Becerra there before, and then we knew more about our assistant Health and Human Services Secretary, Rick Levine, Admiral Levine, who, I've talked about before. If you're not aware, the 4-star admiral is an admiral in the military like Rachel Levine is a woman, okay?
Yes.
In name and fucking title only, okay?
Yes.
So that's who you had running things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're so worried about Kennedy, I mean, give me a fucking break. We saw what you had in charge of that, and we watched day after day what that message was coming out to the American people. And now I thought it was interesting. Josh Hawley introduced a bill today to allow children harmed by trans procedures to sue doctors and hospitals that carry
Nice.
out the operations. I love this. I can't get enough of this one. Hawley's bill would enable individuals to sue pediatric gender clinics and doctors who gave them cross-sex hormones or performed trans surgeries on them as minors. Notice the word that keeps coming up in this: children and minors, right? That's the key to this, because they're going to twist this around like it's an attack on, recognizing trans people. It's not.
Yeah.
Very specific in what it's talking about. Comes after Trump signed an executive order blocking federal funding for any hospital that performs these procedures. Our children should no longer suffer from irreversible and dangerous child mutilation procedures, which the Biden admin enabled and promoted. I welcome Trump's strong action to reverse this child abuse and look forward to working with this administration to advance legislation to protect kids. It's known as Protecting Our Kids from Child Abuse Act. It would allow lawsuits against pediatric gender clinics and other entities pushing gender transition procedures that cause bodily injury to children or harm the mental health of children. I'm not usually for lawsuits personally. I think, it's a tired argument about just how easy it is for lawsuits in this country. But this shit that's been going on for the past few years on children is in my mind, I've talked about it ad nauseum. It's kind of a running joke, but it's pure evil. I'm sorry. I look at
Yeah.
this as fucking evil.
It's
And
insane.
you're going to have to do a lot to prove to me that this isn't anything other than pure evil. What's going on in some of these clinics, some of the videos that they do not want you to see. And so to me, it's warranted. If the Hippocratic Oath means something to these people about doing no harm, and it, to me, screams you have failed for, for money, for activism, whatever it is. These are the people we need to protect the most, and it just sickens me.
Yep.
And honestly, if you had a good argument for these procedures, if the science was so obvious, right? And we're just stupid people who are bigot. It would be very easy. You have the entirety of the media for years, right? You've had the entirety of Hollywood pushing these messages. You've had the agencies for years, for the most part, getting their message out and then getting cover from the media. You've had all that. So if you've got a well thought out position, it should be very easy to get that message out and convince people like, wow, I never thought of it that way. They're making really rational, reasonable arguments. And I can understand now, but you're not. You're not making good arguments. You're not making reasonable decisions, and you're targeting children with this stuff. It's not lost on some of us that this is taking place in grade schools, kindergartens. When you start this kind of propaganda, we understand how the system works, and it strikes me as the long play has been to get activists on school boards, to get activists in classrooms, to get activists in law firms, to get activists on all these social program boards. That's what it appears to be. I could be wrong about that, but that's
Yeah.
what it looks like
Yeah.
in trying to sell this narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Um,
There's no doubt about that. I mean, and it's not a coinky dink, as my mom would say. It's not a coinky dink that there is a huge population difference of trans people on the coasts versus the quote
mhm.
unquote flyover states.
Yeah.
Like, it's not because we're these white bigots that hate trans people. It's
Yeah.
literally conditioning. Like, you're being conditioned. I mean, how many actresses do you know out there that have trans kids? That
Oh,
is
yeah.
not that's insane. That's like
Yeah.
it's like a really like,
Yeah.
that's not normal,
Yeah.
that many people. And look, you can say people have gender dysphoria, and that is a real thing, and that's okay. Like, you can say that, and people can have that and experience that, and it might look different ways, but the answer is not to stop the puberty of kids who have
No.
no concept of
None.
what they're doing to their bodies and how it's going to affect them later. I mean, you can change your mind over a very short period of time of whether you want kids or not. When you're a teenager and when you're in college, you're like, I don't really give a fuck if I have kids, to be honest.
Oh,
I
yeah.
just want to go out and party, and whatever I do, so be it.
Yeah.
But then things change and your mindset changes and your life changes. I mean, imagine making a decision as a child
Yeah.
that affects your life in such a drastic way forever. I mean, and you're on these medicines forever.
Yeah.
And when you start, you've talked about it a lot, and it's so graphic, but like, then when you start getting into the surgeries, and it's like you have to insert something every single day to keep your wound open. It's a wound. Like,
Yeah.
want to know what my vagine is not? It's not a wound.
Yeah.
Mine is not a wound. I don't have to
Right.
do that because I'm a
Right.
woman. You
Right.
know?
And as a
Um,
woman, if you want to go down that road, God bless you. God bless you.
Mhm.
It literally is the children aspect of it
That's it.
that's so disturbing about it, and why I
Yep.
call it evil.
Yeah.
Because what you decide to do with your body, your life, I have no
Yeah.
say in that. It doesn't affect me. What some person in Colorado is doing, I couldn't give a
Mhm.
shit less. Honestly,
Mhm.
I couldn't. It's just you know, if you spend any time around kids, you see just how fucking dumb they are, right? The
Yeah, I
smartest
mean,
one is a fucking moron.
yeah,
They just
yeah,
are. Like
yeah,
it's not a knock on them. They will, you know, the smartest 10-year-old in the world is a fucking dumbass. They
yeah,
just are
and
because they're
dresses up
10.
as Spider-Man every day and
Yeah.
wants to rename himself to like Darth Vader and just does dumb shit that you
Yeah.
as would never. And when you try to say to them, well, then why can't we let kids get tattoos? Why
Yeah.
can't we let kids drink? Why don't we just let them decide? We'll let them decide if they want to smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's bad for them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but making them
Right.
sterile isn't.
Yeah.
Irreversible surgeries are normal, but
Yeah,
like
like
if
you
you
don't
can quit
even
smoking, you know that, right?
yeah, like
Yeah.
you don't even let your kid decide what time they're going to go to bed. Like and you know, you're going to let them decide that. It's just so crazy to me. And also it's this weird thing where they, you know, people on the other side will say, well, they have to go through this rigorous like vetting process. And it's like, do they though?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
they
Do
though?
they? I don't buy
Because
that.
it
No.
sounds to me like they're going to quote unquote gender affirming doctors, which
Yeah.
tells
Yeah.
me in the name in and of itself that they have no role but to affirm what you're saying.
Right.
They're not doctors. They're there to
No,
affirm you. So it doesn't sound to me like you have to go through any vetting process if they're just going to give you what you want. Because
it
that's in
turns
their
into
name.
if you go into a gender affirming clinic, it's probably $100 visit.
Yes.
And then if they go, yeah, no, not for you,
Yep.
it ends there. How do you
Right.
keep money coming in? Well, you keep going further down the road. And especially when you're talking about federal funding involved, you know, like that is a disaster. But I think having what I can only assume is activists involved in all these levels, whether they've indoctrinated into the media, into the education system, into all their tentacles, know no bounds. That's the long play that it appears to be. You can see it almost like a switch flip, which is why I think so many people are struggling with what happened to common sense? Like, no, of
Yeah.
course you don't let a fucking 12-year-old decide, make life-altering decisions. Like, no, that's just insane. Well, the
Yeah.
only way you get there is by having entities that have survived for decades on their reputation be infiltrated by activists. And
Mhm.
so they're able to use buzzwords about, you know, whatever, and they come under the title of, you know, of this position of power and respect that they personally didn't earn, but other people established that. So you wouldn't, you know, unless it infiltrates into the official. Someone made the point with RFK today about, like, it might have been Senator Warren, you know, about, oh yeah, but now your opinions come with the stamp of the, you know, the federal government on top of it. You're part
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
White
Yeah.
House team or something
Yeah.
along
That was
those lines.
Elizabeth Warren, I think.
Elizabeth, yeah, I think it was too. And the point is not lost on me that, yeah, but that applies to activists as well. And so when they put something out on official letterhead, why would a parent question that? It's coming
Right.
from the Health and Human Services director.
Exactly.
Like, yeah,
Exactly.
well, you know, so you're getting these people into place where they're on panels on very reputable, what used to be very reputable news
Mhm.
services
Mhm.
and school boards
Yeah.
and government agencies. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's why so many people are like, the fuck happened to straight common sense?
Yeah.
Are you out of your mind?
Yep.
This isn't
Yeah.
how these discussions go.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Mike. Because you know, you see that method there, and you also see it, you know, and it's all coming from like the government. I mean, they, you know, like the government puts, you know, think of like NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and then they're so heavily Democrat funded, these institutions, for example, and like you said, they get on these panels, they host these seminars about disinformation. The example they happened to use at their seminar was a laptop that was maybe Russian disinformation. And oh, what do you know? 5 minutes later, there's
Yeah.
this Russian laptop that is
Yeah.
clearly disinformation. It's not Hunter Biden's.
Yeah.
We talked about it at our clinic, at our seminar. We went through it. Remember? We
Yeah.
already told you how to handle this situation.
Yeah.
And when you find out who's funding it and who's behind all of it, you're like, what is even happening here? Like
Yeah.
it really makes you step back and go like, holy shit. Like we're being so like manipulated. It's
Well,
crazy.
it sucks. I took a picture of one. It's just a screen grab um of someone on Facebook who's absolutely, and this is how it works. It's programs that could be impacted by federal funding. Trump putting a halt to relook at where we're spending, these grants and federal funding and whatnot. And it seems like if you look at it, it seems fairly reasonable. Maybe it was a little confusing. And so they've rescinded it since,
Yeah.
and they'll rework on it. But when you're looking at efficiency and there's colossal amounts of waste and overspending and shit, and this is part of what he ran on, by the way, is looking into this shit and putting an end to it and stopping some of this stuff. But CNN puts up, and I want to be careful, programs that could be impacted. And, so people are watching this going about their day. It's like school breakfast and lunch programs, Section 8 rental assistance, Title I education grants, assistance for needy families, Head Start, like all these programs meant to help the little guy. And then it's met with a Facebook post from someone who's like, oh my God, my car broke down and I'm pregnant and I've got 2 kids and I rely on these breakfasts at the school. And oh my God, look what evil bad man is doing. And if you look a little closer at CNN's story there, and it's like, these are things that could potentially maybe sort of, if it goes down this way,
Right.
could be impacted on some level. Let's get an expert to explain more about why that could potentially maybe someday in an alternate universe be the thing where they take your kid's breakfast away. Well, if you look at it, and then they get someone with a flashy title to explain it. It's like, yeah, that's not going to happen, but they've done their job of scaring the shit out of these people
Yep.
into thinking like, oh, the mean man, we warned you. They're going to go in and they're just going to cut all these and it's like, it's not what's happening. And it's really unfair to people,
I mean, imagine just, put yourself in this situation. You're just the leader of the free world. And someone walks into your office and goes, sir or madam, you're never going to believe this, but I just noticed we were about to send $50 million worth of condoms
Yeah.
overseas to Gaza.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do about that? Stop all funding to everything immediately. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Put a stop to it all now. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And they go and they do it. And then it's like, okay, hang on. I didn't mean like put a stop to everything. Okay.
Yeah.
That was maybe a little,
Yeah.
it was a little much. But to be fair, I had just heard that we were sending $50 million in condoms to Gaza.
Yeah.
So I maybe overreacted a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, can you maybe understand that position?
Right.
Like, imagine finding that out.
Wouldn't it be
that
nice?
Your government was sending $50 million in
But
condoms.
wouldn't it be nice if you had the world leader in news come on and go, okay, before everyone panics, this dipshit, they bundled this. They probably should have thought about this before they pulled it out. They've now pulled it back. But it explained a little bit, like, here's what's going on. No, it doesn't affect Medicare and Medicaid. And no, they're not going to starve your kid at school. But no, instead they're still in this like battle zone of everything this person does is evil and rotten, obviously. What with him being a bigot, racist, and monster. So let's find a way to legally fall within the bounds and scare the shit out of everybody. But
yeah. Well, I can tell you, CNN is not good at that because they just lost a defamation lawsuit. I don't know if you were paying attention to that. It was against a ex-service member who was getting people out of the Middle East, and CNN defamed him. And the court found them that they did that, and they were about to award punitive damages, and then they reached a settlement. But I mean, Jake Tapper was. He was deposed, and I mean, they were really nasty towards that guy. So there's like no doubt in my mind that they are so tilted.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so
Yeah.
tilted one way. And honestly, I hope more people like Trump, because he's got the money and the power to do it. I hope he starts suing these people for defamation. Sue every single one that calls you a Nazi, calls you a rapist. Like, get
Yeah.
it done. Make them pay for
No,
this
I
shit,
know.
because we're
I know.
over it.
It's, you know, you look at the lawsuit like, oh yeah, someone disagrees with him, he just sues him. Like, that's the narrative too. And it's like, you know, I think of 60 Minutes that spent decades becoming the #1 news program in the world, has a responsibility with that title that these individuals didn't create. And when you go and post a clip of like, hey, to promote your upcoming interview with Kamala Harris, and then people notice a couple days later when it airs that the answer's been changed, how was that not? Explain to me how that's not some sort of putting your hand on the scale when you're leading up to an election. Like, that's not rocket science to figure that out. Like, yeah, I see what you're doing, and that's not your fucking job. That's not
Right.
where your job lies, right? Deceiving the American
Right.
people into, you know, voting a way that you want is not how this game is supposed to be played. It's just unbelievable. But I think we're seeing a new day. This is not going to land with
Yeah.
people. Do you have? I wanted to play. Did you see the billionaire Garrett, that chick?
Yeah.
That and of course this is a Democrat, lifelong Democrat, who
Usually.
funded. Do you have the clip of her talking about people that aren't going to confirm RFK Jr.?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, tomorrow is a pivotal moment in our nation's history. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, RFK will sit in front of the Senate Finance Committee for his confirmation hearing to be our nation's next Secretary of Health and Human Services. I urge everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He is more than qualified, he's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. I'll share a list below of key senators. If they represent your state, they need to hear from you. If they don't, please call your own senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. So this hasn't been widely reported, but in 2020, I cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia from red to blue. The 2 candidates I helped elect, Senator Raphael Warnock and
Thanks for
Senator
that.
John Ossoff, please know I will be watching your votes very closely. I will make it my personal mission that you lose your seats in the Senate if you vote against the future health of America's children. And more than that, I also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Lankford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto, this is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and Big Ag have exploited us for far too long. It ends now. You're either on the side of transparency and accountability, or you are standing in the way. The choice is yours. Please choose wisely.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, the sword
I
cuts
don't like
both
that that's how they
ways.
play it, but yeah,
What's that, Garrett?
I don't think that's how they play it. But if that's the way it has to be played, here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
That is how you have to play it. 100%.
people not giving a shit
I mean,
anymore.
they want their jobs.
Yeah.
They want to keep their jobs. And that's the thing about again, like back in the old days, you could only get elected by getting money from Big Pharma and those big
Yeah.
lobbyists. And it doesn't take that now.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody like that can rally, like she said, hundreds of thousands of people around her just by posting on social media and getting donations. And we'll fund people to replace you if you don't do what your voters want you to do.
Put these people in a spot.
And that's the way it worked.
I'm your biggest donor. I'm the one that got you there. And by the way, she did. Raphael Warnock came out of fucking Nowheresville. Ossoff came out of Nowheresville to essentially steal that election in Georgia. And it's because of people like that. And so if they want to wield that a little bit, you're not going to look out for the best interests of the health of Americans and the children. don't even think about it. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, and hey, I've got a lot more respect for somebody coming out and telling it
Yeah.
like it is instead of pretending like that shit's not
Yeah,
happening.
absolutely.
Because those same conversations are happening with the lobbyists and corporate interests. They're coming to them saying, we won't donate to you and we'll donate to your primary opponent if you don't vote the way we want you to vote. So
Yeah.
like those conversations are already happening, but they're just happening with the corporate,
Yeah. Yeah.
elite instead of everyday people.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this works. So these people that have had cover forever, being able to peddle whatever they want or fall in line with a narrative like they want, it'll be interesting to see like the new Marvel movie that's coming out, Captain America. Did you see the actor Anthony Mackie? Do you have that? Did
I feel like I saw something
Did
about
I
it.
send you that one yesterday about how it's not really an American, or something like that. You're playing
Yeah, I have
Captain
him
America.
talking on that stage.
Yeah,
So
if you have, go ahead and play it.
all right.
For me, Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations. Like, it's about a man who keeps his word, who has honor, dignity, and integrity. Someone who is trustworthy and dependable. It's kind of,
Sounds like America.
this is kind of like an aspect of a dream coming true. When I was a kid, all of us as actors, I believe, want to get back to that day before someone told you no. When you look out your door and you see a 5-year-old kid with a stick and he's slaying dragons to save the princess in the tower, that kid really believes there are dragons out there. That stick is really a sword and he's really trying to save that princess. And then one day somebody told him, no, there are no dragons. That's not a
They were
sword.
three
That
then.
princess is not there. And all of his little dreams were dashed. So, as an actor, I feel like our job is to
Okay,
get back
I
to
think
the
we
day
get
where
the
we
point.
Yeah.
This guy's a gangster. His real name's Clarence.
Yeah, right.
Clarence parents live at home with both parents.
So Anthony has now had to come out. Disney has had to come out because people are like, oh, Captain America isn't American now. What is he?
Yeah.
He represents Venezuela as well and everything else.
Yeah.
No, Tony.
Yeah.
No. And
You
so
don't get to rewrite the character. No.
Sounds like he didn't get the background of the character.
Yeah.
He was literally genetically created to fight Nazis in World War II in a comic
Yeah.
that was written right around the time of World War II.
Yeah,
Hold on.
absolutely. So he posted on Instagram today, he wrote, let me be clear about this. I'm a proud American, and taking on the shield of a hero like Cap is the honor of a lifetime. I have the utmost respect for those who serve and have served our country. Cap has universal characteristics that people all over the world can relate to. Blah, blah, blah. So he was on this press tour and asked about this. And I remember the guy that played him before kind of had that same shitty attitude. Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah.
Didn't he kind of get in some shit for saying that? Now Disney's,
Yeah.
and people aren't taking that anymore. Just like getting punched for that. And like, no, Captain America's ours. And it's supposed to represent, Tony
But-
wants to dream big about going back to when, we believed in dragons and fighting them with the stick. Like, what, you mean when you were 3? Like, is that what the dream?
Yeah.
Because some of us want to go back to a time, Tony, when our stars dreamed big about what makes America special and what America represents to the world. And you're actively watering that down just a little bit, little increments through time when you make statements like that about like, yeah, it's kind of like Obama, like, yeah, America's not that special.
But
Just
I'm not-
another place on
Yeah,
the,
I mean
on the
that's all
global
started
map.
with him. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it is.
I don't even blame Anthony Mackie though, because I mean, if you really look into everything Marvel, especially Disney, like Star Wars, Marvel, anything Disney owns, it is very beholden to the Chinese market because that's where a lot of their money can come in.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody saying like Captain America, that doesn't really fly well in Chinese markets. It's the same reason they have to take all the black people off the posters over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
And they have to take
Yeah.
different,
Different
flags
stands.
out of their
Taiwanese
movie.
flag or whatever.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I look at it the same way with all these, whether it's Snow White, whether it's Star Wars or Captain America, in that you didn't create these things. it's not for you.
Right.
Um, you can hate whatever Captain America represents, but that's its story. Okay, it
Right.
was World War II propaganda. It was written in that way to get Americans excited, young males excited about going to war, that you could be this scrawny little nothing, join the military and become this superhero. Like, that's the origin. And then you do good in the world. From America, you represent America's values and culture, and you fight the evils of the world. And that, like, you can hate that storyline, you can disagree with it, but that's what it is. And
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do the
you
movie
didn't
if you hate
fucking
it.
write it. And I would
Yeah.
encourage people, like, if that's what you think, like, you can take something that you didn't create and make it, then go write your own comic. And I wish you nothing but success. Go
Yeah.
if Captain America's too much for you, and now it could be Captain Venezuela, who knows? Whatever, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And I don't mean to be a dick about it, but it's like, no, stop doing this to things you didn't create. How many bombs in a row do you
Exactly.
need to have before you start listening to your audience that does find something in that does believe their country is special, that their country is that shining light, beacon of hope to the rest of the world, for all its faults.
Yeah.
People want to believe that. Why would you take that from them? And go write whatever comic you want, be the liberal superhero you dream about from wherever, and maybe you'll sell 1 billion copies, and in 60 years people will be having this debate about what to do with what you created. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And superhero movies are the only movies that like do well these
Yeah.
days. So they better not fuck with them too much, because that's their cash cow. So I imagine that Disney was like, yeah, we need to read.
Yeah, shut up about that. Like, but there was a lot of patient people that hung back and were like, oh, Jesus, don't know if I agree with that, but I do love Star Wars, and they put up with it and put up with it and put up with it. That, I'm telling you, that election November 5th has had ripples throughout society that you just can't deny, where people are going, yeah, fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
not.
What do you think? It seems like it changed
Yeah.
so fast. Like it was earlier this year when I was still thinking like people are batshit
Yeah, me
crazy
too.
and we're not gonna ever get out of this, and like our country is
Yep.
doomed, and you still had to worry about what you were saying, and I don't know. I was trying to pinpoint like when it was that something. I really truly believe that it was RFK,
Yeah.
Elon, Vivek, all getting on board with Trump in these different factions of life. Like, RFK is bringing in the stay-at-home moms who want to make America healthy again. And, you've got,
Yeah.
and then you realize like, oh, okay, so Elon likes Trump. Okay. So it's cool for me to say I like Trump, right? Because I've liked him this
Yeah,
whole time.
yeah.
But, okay, if all these guys are coming out and saying it's cool, and then I think, it's weird because I think the celebrity endorsement worked against Kamala,
Huge.
but it worked for Trump.
Yeah. I think it represented, like, even that night of the election, I was getting texts from East Coasters going, when's the thing gonna happen? It'd be midnight here, 2 a.m. back home. And people
Yeah.
going, what?
Yeah, I didn't want to go to
Nobody
bed.
wanted to go to bed. They were scared to death. Like, the writing was on the wall. You felt it for months,
Yeah.
if not years.
Yeah, we all lived through
Yeah,
2020.
exactly. And so people were writing me like, is this the moment? Is it going to happen? I saw a tick up of a point in Georgia. Is this where this, like, when it didn't happen? And like, I think a lot of people, the relief they felt is what you're seeing play out now. Like, I wasn't alone. I wasn't going crazy. My country hadn't all of a sudden lost its collective mind.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that breath that everybody took is what you're feeling, where it's like, no, it wasn't just me and my circle of immediate family or friends that had this. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people that got real fucking loud about really dumb shit and acting like you
Yeah.
were insane if you didn't agree. Like, there was something
Yeah.
wrong with you if you didn't want. Why wouldn't you transition your 8-year-old? What the fuck's the matter with you? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't?
Yeah, why don't you want trans
You
people
fucking-
to
Yeah.
exist? You don't want a trans
Yeah.
kid? Why do you
You
hate
don't
trans
want an
people? Like, what?
undocumented, untraced criminal living next to you? What are you,
Yeah.
racist?
You know,
But who's gonna pick our
and so
cotton?
the Selena Gomez's of the moment, you know, where it's like, I'm gonna sob and sob, and then right next to it is a list of the people that have been picked up, and it's like, this one raped and then murdered his pregnant girlfriend while their child watched. Is that okay,
Right.
Selena? How many tears are you gonna shed for that fucking asshole
Right.
picked
Yeah.
up in Boston? How many are you gonna?
And when
so,
when she was like, I will do everything in my
Yeah.
power. How many kids you got living
Yeah.
at your house?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you got
Sure.
room. I know you
Sure.
got money. So like, take them all
Yeah.
in. That is something within your power that you could do. Oh, you don't want to
Yeah.
do that, do you? Oh, that's right. You don't want them in your area,
right.
but you want to go online
Yeah.
and cry about
Well,
it.
it's playing out in so many aspects where so many, like the BLM thing, I cannot wrap my head around. Like, you understand that these people were just getting theirs, right? Like
Yeah.
they took full advantage of the kindness of people with the promise to do better by, you know, the injustices that the Black community has felt for decades. And there's some truth to some of that for sure. But you got played. You got played to the tune of tens and tens, dozens of millions of dollars. And it's fallen apart, and people are having trouble coming to terms with that. And so it's no shock to me we get another story today. A mayor in Georgia, former Black Lives Matter organizer, and the details probably won't shock you. I find them stunningly hilarious. But he stormed out of a city council meeting as furious residents questioned him about allegedly using a city credit card for purchases. I feel like I've heard this story before, where you know it's not, you know, this story would be great, and I would tell you if it was like, hey, this guy was elected to a local office in Georgia, and what do you know, there's a brand new park, and it's beautiful, and it's in an inner city community that's been neglected and left to die on and do for itself. But no, that's not the story. So Mayor Khalid Kamau, known as Mayor Kobe, sure, berated his own constituents. How dare you question me? For citing his spending in office, which included an $1,800 desk he got for himself, not for the local school where the kids needed a new desk. No.
Right.
By the way, that desk is so dope it can be turned into a pool table. Is what mayor doesn't want that. It's kind of sick.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
fun.
he spent over $9,000 in 1 month on travel, but whatever. And flight upgrades, because we've got to fly first class like a pimp.
Gotta
Hell
upgrade.
yeah. He also blew thousands of taxpayer money for a 20-day luxury vacation in Ghana. And then he bought himself a $1,300 drone. So he shot back at these people. So these people are like, dude, what the fuck is up with this? The city credit card, and you're buying it. What would your response to them be? Because he started, I'll give you a hint. He started, I am so distressed and disappointed. What do you think the following statement was?
What do I think it was?
What
or
would yours
mine,
be?
What would mine be if
You're
I was
busted.
busted?
You're caught red-handed.
I would start with that, and I'd say I'm disappointed in my behavior. You know, I come from a private industry where we weren't necessarily used to, upgrading a seat wasn't a big deal. It's just what I'm accustomed to. I recognize this is a tax dollars. I'm going to reimburse every penny that I spent of tax dollar money, and I work to earn your trust back. I apologize.
That's great.
That's what I.
Yeah, that's not bad. I like that a lot. I think I would say something similar. Garrett, what would you say?
You guys really trusted me with your money. I'm a fucking fed. You didn't see this coming. You didn't see it coming.
Yeah, that's
Come
a good
on.
one too. That's
You
a
knew
good
I
one.
was up to some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, you voted for me. You voted.
Vote me again or don't. All right, I made my money. I'll see you guys later.
Here's what he actually said. So when he's being questioned.
Oh, it wasn't
No, it wasn't that, which I was shocked by because I
Oh.
thought that was that would
Yeah,
be
that's
my
pretty good
go-to. Like,
response.
I am very disappointed in my behavior. I clearly that's great about I come from private industry. This is no big deal in that world, but now I'm representing the people and I got to do better. I will do better.
Yeah. I'll reimburse you.
and
I'll show you every check that I write. You know, yeah, you got to fall on your sword at that point. You were busted.
yeah, remember, he's in a community and he's in a leadership role there as the mayor in this town. His response was, I am distressed and disappointed that the blackest city in one of the blackest states in the United States of America heading into Black History Month, and we're tearing each other down.
Oh.
Black card. Hell yeah, great option.
He used the black card like 4 times.
Pass.
Councilwoman Helen Willis responded, we're not tearing you down. You took your black ass over to Africa for 20 days and didn't tell anybody. Good.
Oh yeah.
Good for her. Local, let's see, another local there. Patricia Wise was seen telling the council, you guys got to do better. You really got to do better. So do the voters, though. You got to do better, too.
Yeah.
After facing the
Yep.
onslaught, Kamau couldn't take anymore. He just walked out. Like, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. He stormed out of the meeting as the hearing turned into discussing new policies, refused to give any explanation for his huge expenses. He's a self-described socialist. He became mayor of South Fulton in January 22 and claims on his website to be America's first hashtag Black Lives Matter organizer elected to public office.
I know exactly
Do
who
you?
this is. Now that you say, oh, I know exactly who this is.
You know,
Yes.
this is as funny as this is, and it gets even funnier. What a sad state. What a missed opportunity. Like, if you could go on and be like, hey, we want to be taken seriously. We want to do good in our community. I am the first elected official from hashtag Black Lives Matter. But no, this is what you do, playing up to every negative stereotype you can. Like, you got put into a position of power and immediately abuse the shit out of it, rape your constituents,
It's just like Kwame. I mean, Kwame was on the Obama path.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was up there with Obama. Like,
Yeah.
had he just kept his nose clean, he'd be in Washington
Oh,
right now.
100%.
Like, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
the hip hop mayor. And
The hip hop mayor. And honestly, like, Kwame was kind of
Oh,
likable.
yeah.
Like, I liked Kwame. I didn't mind Kwame. I like, normal people for the most part. But like, you get into these positions of power and you can't help it. You see all this and you're like, oh, really? I could get a car. I could buy my wife
Yeah.
a Lincoln, and nobody's
Yeah.
gonna know.
I remember
Really?
talking to Charlie LaDuff
Alright.
about this, and he said that the problem with Kwame is the biggest problem for Kwame was, he said, because all of these fucking snakes are doing the same shit. He said they were just smart enough to do it out the back door where you couldn't really see. And Kwame was just so front and center about
Yeah.
it and going out the front door like a fucking moron. And that's where he
Yeah.
got into shit. That, yeah, they're all corrupt, stealing
Yep.
from the city, robbing the people blind, but Kwame was just so blatant about it.
You can't drive
So-
to work in a Civic and leave in a Bentley.
Yeah,
People
right.
go, what the fuck?
South Fulton, by the way, 92% African-American population makes it the blackest city in America, the website states, and that he is on a mission to make America's blackest city black on purpose. I don't even know what that means.
Mm.
I want to know more.
Is it black on accident
I
right now?
don't know. I want to know more about those 8%, though, that are not black, that are hanging out in that city. Like,
Yeah.
who are those bad
Let's be
motherfuckers?
honest.
And do they get, some kind of like minority treatment?
They should.
Like, do they get,
Yeah,
I don't know, reparations?
Sure.
from them?
So what does that mean? The mission to be the blackest, he wants to make America's blackest city black on purpose, which means a city that is not just unapologetic about its demographics, but moving on purpose to be a laboratory for economic, housing, and restorative justice policies aimed at improving the lives of black people. Okay.
Mm.
Well, you kind of dropped the ball on that
Well,
one.
that is ironic, seeing as like the district attorney there is like known for bringing ridiculous RICO cases against rappers. So,
Yeah.
you know, and she's a raging Democrat. So, like, maybe figure it out within your own party first. You might be able to attract some more
Yeah.
black talent to the area if, you know, they weren't using people's rap lyrics
Yeah.
against them
Yeah. That's a good place
in
to start.
murder
Yeah.
cases.
Months of misspending were revealed in January by a local TV station there, as he was accused of using city-issued credit cards to spend almost 26 grand between October and December on unauthorized travel, food, and other expenses. Motherfucker, it was Christmas time. You expect him to do. Kamau has branded the allegations against him as a smear campaign. But then he's failed to answer any questions to explain his purchases, including a total of 112 outstanding receipts in just the last couple months, in a few months' time. Much of the
Like, dude, you're busted.
Yeah.
Just own up
Yeah.
to it. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
the mayor, he took most of the problem is this trip to Ghana that he took for 20 days.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was he with the California mayor? The Los
Yeah,
Angeles
Karen
mayor?
Bass was over there with Karen
Yeah.
Bass. The mayor flaunted the trip on his Instagram account, of course, showing that he's arrived, including the over-the-top welcome he received at the airport. Saw traditional dancers welcome him at the airport and a cavalcade of luxury cars to pick him up. Councilwoman Helen Willis told the local TV there, City of Fulton has no business with Ghana or Africa. Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
That isn't even a priority. We need more economic development here. We don't need to go to Africa in order for the city to have a multi-business deal. Yeah. Hilarious.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. It's just,
Being in politics must be wild.
yeah. Well, it depends what reason you're in it for. You know, I hope things change. You know, the Black Lives Matter thing, I can't believe we're still talking about it after Patrisse Cullors and her lesbian trans wife or whatever, seeing what they did in LA and the properties they bought for themselves in Toronto and LA. Like, just such a scam. Such a scam.
Well, you know, Mike, we're having our own drama here with our mayor in Detroit. I know you're not as hip
No.
to it since you're not here anymore, but 9 Michigan organizations that work with immigrant communities said Wednesday that they denounced Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan for describing undocumented immigrants as illegal a week ago.
Yeah.
The mayor's use of the I word is inappropriate, dehumanizing, and an insult to Detroit's long-standing immigrant communities.
Okay.
So he's in trouble for using the I
Should
word.
he use the A word?
Illegal.
Alien instead? Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, hey, FYI, pick me. If you're not here legally, like the opposite of that is
illegal. Yeah.
illegal. It's just like a fact.
What would they prefer?
So-
What undocumented, is that their gripe here?
Yeah.
Undocumented,
Undocumented immigrants.
aka illegal. Like
Yeah,
that,
right.
it's the,
Like, and then at what point does undocumented start to offend you? And then what word do we go to? You just want us to go to immigrant? You want us to just drop the fact
Yeah.
that you're here illegally completely? I think is where we're
Yeah.
going.
it's going to get so much uglier too. This should be the
Yeah.
easy stage of it. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't care. You brought this on yourselves when you crashed the American borders with upwards of 20 plus million people. I'm sorry. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
I think we all agree with, you know, what this country is, what this nation stands for. But part of that mandate was the Hispanic community voted overwhelmingly like, yeah, this is bullshit. So you can
Yeah.
you can point all the fingers you want, but without
But
them,
now they're deporting their tias and tios.
yeah. Oh, is that
And so they're sad that they voted for him because their tias and their
are those?
tios are
Is that
being
Nana and Papa?
deported. I think that's aunt and uncle.
Oh.
I feel like Tio and
Yeah.
Tia. If I'm recalling my high school Spanish
Yeah.
properly, I think Tio and Tia is aunt and
It's-
uncle. But yeah, it's like and when you see how easy it is to get rid of all of these illegal
Yeah.
immigrants, you realize how easy it is and how quick, like, Biden could have been
Oh, yeah.
doing this.
Yeah.
FYI. Like, it's very easy to find them. I mean, day one, they were like, all right, we've got a list.
Do
Let's
you
go.
hope someone gets tough guy brave in one of these sanctuary cities, is going to stand up to the bully and make a stand for his community? I hope they do arrest that motherfucker when it happens. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Like,
me
no,
too.
dude.
I know.
Yeah.
I hope it's that Illinois guy.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
He's annoying.
Or
That
Colorado.
fat dude.
Who's in
Mhm.
Colorado? One of those. Like, I hope they do. California is going to be weird because you have a totally different population now. They
Yeah.
really have flipped that.
Yeah.
Like, the minority there is 100% white people in California. So
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
it just is. You know, it's
Yeah.
and a lot of those communities don't really get along all that great. But you have a huge
Mhm.
Hispanic population, huge Indian population, and huge Chinese population. So I don't know how that's going to go, how they're going to feel about that, but it's going to get
Yeah.
ugly sooner than later. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. But for all the Selena Gomez's out there that are shedding tears for murderers and rapists, what is that scene going to be like when it's like, yeah, sorry, it's time for
Yeah.
these guys to go, you know? But they're not going to get that support from the White House podium. That chick
No.
is
No,
no
they are not.
bullshit, man.
Mike, you need to go to a White House briefing now that anybody
Right?
can get credentials that has a
What do you think of her?
platform.
She reminds me of you, actually. The press
Oh,
secretary.
thanks. Yeah, I liked her. Well, if you say, I mean, now that you mention it, I
Yeah.
loved her. I thought she was great. But yeah, no, I mean, that's somebody that, God, so refreshing from Jean
Yeah.
Pierre, whatever
Jean-
the
yeah.
fucker, Korean Jean
Jean-
Pierre. Is she on
Oh,
MSNBC yet?
probably. Who knows? Yeah, Binder,
be.
as they called her. And I love this
God, she
new chick, Leave It, whatever her name is. Just like, yeah, I don't have a binder. My binder's up here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
need to thumb through like, yeah, here's how we feel about it. And then just read
Right.
something off. Like, no, that's not
Right.
how it goes.
Don't you kind of love too how they were like, all right, we came in, pulled the information. Here's what the drones were.
Yeah. Do you
Like,
believe that?
Why did that?
I don't.
Why was that so hard?
don't.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I, do.
don't.
I believe.
You expect
yeah,
the
because
federal aviation, whatever, to be honest about what was actually going on there. I feel like there was something else.
Well, he said that they were doing research.
What research? Tell us.
They weren't clear on what that was. Yeah, no, I mean,
Well,
yeah, but I believe them when they say it wasn't a foreign
Yeah.
government, which I think everybody was concerned about. And it would have been very easy for them to be like, it's not. It's our own army. We're doing research, just like Trump just did. Like, it's very easy
yeah.
to do that.
I don't know why you wouldn't just do that though, if that was the case. I'm a little, I don't know what to believe about that. Cause I do still believe like you have examples of national security where, you know what, you just can't say exactly what's going on. And I think that's smart too. I don't think you want everything out there all the time. Like, I'm an American, I have a right to know everything. Like, no, it does have ripple effects around the world. And like there are some things. I think it's bullshit when it comes to, you know, JFK assassination stuff. Like, don't give me that garbage. We have every right to know what went on there. But when it comes to
Yeah.
national security, that gets into a sketchy area. I don't know that I believe 100%. I'm kind of with Garrett on this one. Like, it just
I mean,
seems
I
too
think he said
convenient
at
to
the-
come out and just be like, oh, by the way,
I think
yeah, no, it was nothing.
Research and hobby.
I think he said at the time though, like he said at the time, it's not anything bad. Like, they just need to come out and tell you guys what it is, because it's not all right. Like, I think he knew at the time it wasn't that. I mean, it sounds by all means that these people had approval to be
I
in the
never really-
airspace, regardless of what they
Yeah,
were
I never
doing.
thought it was a foreign entity. I always thought they were ours. It's just, why are they ours?
Oh, see, I think people thought it was China.
Yeah,
like the
I-
Chinese
yes.
spy.
I didn't know what to
It's
think. And
reasonable.
honestly, it was a little weird when Trump was like, yeah, there's a lot of them over Bedminster. Cancel my trip to Bedminster this weekend.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, if he truly believed, like, no, we're on this. We know exactly what that is. It's
Yeah,
our,
you know, maybe he found out like, oh, it's the Secret Service preparing for him to be at Bedminster, and they're doing recon,
Yeah.
and they're, you know, flying a drone over it so they can map every
Yeah.
inch of it, so they can secure. You know, it might be something like that, and he doesn't want to announce that
Yeah.
to the world that, that. So like it might be, who
Well,
knows?
I know.
I just am choosing that like Trump's not coming out of the gate and like full blown lying
I hope so. I hope
about
so.
stuff like
And
that. I don't
I
know.
know,
Maybe
like
it's-
for Garrett and for me, we're
I don't
definitely
trust
we're biased in this area because especially Garrett, he wants to believe in the conspiracies and stuff like that. So
Sometimes.
so what really is going on there? I don't know. It seems weird and a little convenient to just come out and be like, oh yeah, by the way, that whole thing I just Trump said there's nothing here. Oh, totally approved by the FAA. That seems a little convenient. It doesn't mean that it's not 100% true, but these people have been so dishonest on so many levels, and they've gotten so much cover from the media for so many years now that I can't help but go, yeah. I mean, if I'm believing in conspiracies, that's on you. That's on that. You've
for
created
sure.
that atmosphere. If I have distrust
100%.
for the first time in my life in the education system in this country, that's on you, not me. I didn't make that up out of nowhere all of a sudden
Right.
at middle age. Like, no, my distrust of the health
Right.
organizations in this country don't come out of the fucking clear blue sky. There's reasons for
Right.
that. And so while there's a new administration there, and they have not, as contrary to what the TV likes to tell me every day, I don't have reason to believe that Trump's full of shit. So if it was Biden's team coming out, and maybe they knew that too, if it was Biden's DOJ or whatever coming out, press secretary saying, oh yeah, nothing to see here, it turns out it was all FAA approved, I'd be like, yeah, well, okay, now I definitely think something's up.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
who knows? But that one seems a little convenient, but who knows? Garrett and I talked about it a little yesterday about why are they out at night? That seems like you're using infrared at that point to search for something. Like you wouldn't go drone flying at night. That seems counterproductive. So what,
The drones we were saying were just not hobbyist drones. They're very expensive, like utility something. So yeah, it could explain research, but it's just
Yeah, I mean, I think the Army has to test its shit out.
Oh yeah,
sometime,
no
doesn't
doubt. And
it?
there's no doubt that
In fact, I think there was something recently where they were like, I think it's happening within the next couple of days, but there's like they're doing a nuclear like bomb test, not like a test, but like basically like what you would do if there was a nuclear emergency. So I saw something that was like, if you see an increased presence of like military, don't freak out, that we do this every couple of years. This is what it is. So like coming out ahead of time and being
That's
like,
smart.
hey, just like FYI.
yeah, I think if you're going to be testing stuff, like they typically do that, like in the middle of the desert, they go to Nevada and it's like, we're testing, nuclear, whatever. We're doing like away from the general public. Doing it right off the coast in New Jersey, all over seems a bit weird. Like if you wanted to go to an island somewhere off the Pacific or off the Atlantic where the general public can't see it and freak out about it, seems like something, like, okay, yeah, we went out and did some testing, on our stuff. Like it seems like that's would make more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
We'll see. But China's definitely kicking the shit out of us when it comes to what they're allowed to do with drones, and as opposed to what the FAA allows in this country. Maybe they're playing a game to catch up. Who knows? Who knows? Lastly, before we get to a couple of emails, Gavin Newsom, if you're in California and you're worried about anything there, no need to worry about the fires and whatnot. He has announced that an entertainment and sports executive, Casey Wasserman, along with Magic Johnson and Dodgers co-owner Mark Walter, were tapped by Newsom to lead a new private sector philanthropic group, LA Rises. So they're back, baby. The group will focus on working with business leaders and state and local officials to rebuild areas that have been devastated by the fires. Newsom and other leaders in California have been criticized for their response. Shocking. 30 people now, the death count up to there. The private sector has to come together operationally and philanthropically as part of the rebuild. Many ways, the rebirth of LA. This process we're about to start with LA Rises is not about the next month or the next year. No, it's about the next 30 years, honestly, Gavin. Newsom posted a video with Wasserman that showed Wasserman thanking the governor for his leadership. In 2003, Wasserman accompanied Jeffrey Epstein on his 727 for a mission to look into the AIDS issue in Africa.
Yeah. Any relation to Wasserman
I don't
Schultz?
know. He's a big LA lawyer. His credentials are impressive. He was pictured with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in front of Epstein's private jet, the Lolita Express. Wasserman was also accused of having multiple affairs with women on his staff while he was married to Laura Zifrin. He sent women lavish guests. He would send them like a car, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm done with you, bitch," and then and then dump them. And so these chicks are like, "What the fuck, man?" When he dumped me, I was in shock. We went from like 100 to 0 in a day, in a matter of hours. I truly think he underestimates the pain and long-term damage he causes women like me who believed in him. He also was accused of pursuing romantic relationships with his former secretary, a couple of his former flight attendants. He also has ties to Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris's husband, Doug Jackoff, Doug Emhoff, ties to him. Wasserman's firm represents athletes and actors like Kendrick Lamar and Ed Sheeran and Brad Pitt, Russell Crowe, Giancarlo Stanton. I like that guy. Giancarlo Stanton. Wasn't he in Breaking Bad?
No, Giancarlo Stanton played for the...
Oh, is he the baseball player?
Played for the Marlins,
Yeah, okay.
And then he went to the Yankees maybe. Now maybe he's with
Who's
the
the
Dodgers.
guy I'm thinking of? Giancarlo. Who's the actor that was in Mandalorian and he was in Breaking Bad? I know you guys will know. He played
I know the
such
actor.
a
I don't
killer
know
role.
what his name
What was his name? in,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Is that the one that did he? What did he play?
Close.
Gus Fring in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, Gus Fring. One of my favorite characters of all time in television is
his only character he plays now.
Well, he was in Mandalorian too.
Yeah.
Did you watch Mandalorian?
No.
No.
Nah.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. I'm off the Star Wars train.
A lot of people
I
are.
don't feel like getting back in.
Yeah. We'll see.
Hey, you know how I was telling you guys about the Blake Lively stuff and the Deadpool and Nice Pool stuff? Okay, so listen to this. At the end of the Blake Lively movie, there's this section in the credits where it's like Blake Lively would like to thank, and then she lists out like all these people, like Taylor Swift. She lists like Bradley Cooper, and she lists Ryan Reynolds, but then she also lists a name that's Gordon Reynolds. Okay. And everybody was like, who's Gordon Reynolds? Like nobody knew. But some astute Deadpool watcher noticed that in the credits of Deadpool, Nice Pool's name is Gordon Reynolds.
Really?
And Nice Pool in the movie is the one who's mocking Justin Baldoni. So it's like
it kind of confirms some shit.
Hilarious.
They were trolling.
They were on him.
Like legit.
That's
deep. Yeah. That's fucking sinister.
Isn't that fucked up? Then the original composer of the movie got fired like last minute, and the composer of Deadpool gets a phone call from Blake Lively and is like, "Hey, can you do music for this movie in a week?" And he was like, "A week?" He's like, "I mean, no, I can't do it in a week, maybe like a few weeks." And the person interviewing him was like, "Well, surely they had somebody. He must have gotten fired or whatever." Come to find out, it's being alleged that when Blake Lively did her own rewrite of the movie and
which movie is this again?
Did her own editing. This is It Ends With Us. She put a Taylor Swift song in her version of the movie, and Sony, when they watched it, they loved it. And Taylor Swift said, "Well, I worked with the composer on your movie once, and he was mean to me. So if you want my song in the movie, you have to fire that composer." And that's why they hired the Deadpool composer with like a week to go.
Really?
So they just took this movie over completely from this dude. It's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I love when you hear stuff like that. He was mean to me. That could mean like, he he didn't pick
Yeah.
up my fucking dry cleaning when I
Yeah,
demanded.
it could mean
Yeah.
he didn't
Or he-
bow to me when I walked down the hallway.
Right. He looked me in
Exactly.
the
Yeah,
eyes.
he had a suggestion. He had a suggestion
Yeah.
for me, and I don't take suggestions because I'm
Yeah.
Right.
Taylor Swift and I'm great.
Is
so.
the country losing? Is
Yeah.
she falling out of favor with a lot of people? I kind
Yeah.
of feel like there's a
Little
lot
girl.
of people that look at her.
She's gonna sell a lot of albums,
Yeah.
but I feel like most people are just like, look, just get back in your fucking corner. You're an Uber celebrity.
Yeah, and I think the whole Kelsey thing and them, it was like too much. Everybody was like, we're just
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
this, and she's like my age.
Yeah.
by
She's
the
like
way,
37,
which is weird.
38.
She's like
Yeah.
late 30s. Yeah, like to act like you're still
Like a high school sweetheart
teenager
song.
is kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's already, her PR team put a story in one of the magazines today that said that she's distancing herself from Blake
I saw
amongst
that.
all of this lawsuit
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But I couldn't believe when like that credit thing is so like they were just trolling this dude on a whole nother level and he had
Yeah.
no idea.
I hate that idea, by the way, of like distancing yourself. Like you were never a real friend. Like you don't distance yourself
Yeah.
from true friends when things get rocky or things get troubling. Like that's when friends need you the most. It's not when you.
Yeah.
I saw that too about they're playing up pictures of them at the Chiefs game together, hugging and
Yeah.
now distancing.
Uh-huh.
Like, dude, that's not when you bail on friends that are actually
Right.
friends. It's just
Yeah.
fuck these people.
Yeah.
We've
That's where I'm at.
created monsters.
sure.
We've created monsters.
Yes. Absolute monsters. Absolute
It's so
monsters. They think so highly
Yeah.
of themselves. Like the self-importance that these people have about making movies is so
Yeah.
unsettling. It's like, what planet do you live on? You're making
Yeah.
a movie. It's not
it's
that
not
serious.
that serious. It's Selena Gomez. Like I'm emotional about this. Now it's time to get the camera out, film myself, and post it. Like you're delusional, little girl. I'm sorry, you just are. And then but yeah, like no rational, reasonable person behaves that way. And is wrong.
Nobody
about their-
who's genuinely crying goes, I gotta get my phone
Yeah.
out and set it up and record
Yeah.
myself. Like that's not a thing. If you're genuinely crying, you're like bummed out and you don't want to be
Yeah,
on your phone.
and being wildly inaccurate with the details. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm convinced
all
it
stupid.
goes back to not being told no, even in really, really irrational situations where
Mhm.
people, they treat celebrity, they treat wealth different. And so you're able to act like a really entitled cunt most of the time, and people don't act accordingly and put you in your place. It's why real friends are important. Like I know
Yes.
I have certain people in my life that I can't pull bullshit on. I just
Right.
can't because,
Right.
if I try that with Tooch, he's just going to go, fuck out of here, man.
Yeah.
There are certain people that aren't going to put up with your bullshit. If you even try, so
Yeah.
you don't. But when you get
Yeah.
free reign to just be as irresponsible, irrational, and have people acting like, oh yeah, this is reasonable right now, it leads you to believe that the world views you that way. It's just, it's sad.
Yeah.
All right, let's do an email or two and get out of here.
Yeah.
Mike, some constructive criticism. Please get Amy a pop filter. I couldn't listen to Psalm 1943 because of the plosives. I don't know. That's Goodbye, B-U-Y, from Kurt. I think we
Yes.
did better today, Kurt, and you're right. Thank you, Garrett.
Yes.
I need to do, God damn it, I need to do a read for Deer Lake Athletic Club, and I do have a couple more emails. So in Clarkston, full gym, fitness classes, 3 pools, swim lessons, tennis, pickleball, childcare, and more. The Backcourt Restaurant inside Deer Lake Athletic Club has weekly specials like Taco Tuesday, Quizzo every Wednesday, kids meals for $5 on Thursdays, along with Wednesday and Thursday dinner specials, live entertainment. I've seen the live entertainment. It's very entertaining. On Fridays and Saturdays, breakfast on Sundays from 10 to 1 with a Bloody Mary bar and bottomless mimosas. They offer a special Sunday menu after 1. Need to book an event? The banquet director, Emily, can fill you in on their specials. Call 248-625-8686 or stop in at 6167 White Lake Road in Clarkston or visit their website, DeerLakeAthleticClub.com, for all the information you need on the Deer Lake Athletic Club, one club for the whole family. Thank you to them for sponsoring part of the show. Let's see. So, yeah, I think we've got, going back to the email, Kurt, I didn't hear anything. I did the other day hear a couple pops and stuff. It's hard to know if that's because of the microphone or something. We think maybe it was a cord. I don't know if you guys heard anything. It sounded fine to me today.
Sounded fine to me
Yeah.
as well. He will have to let
Yeah.
us know. I'm sure
Yeah,
he will.
and people did reach out to me, and it was funny because they all said the same thing. Oh my God, I love when Amy's on, but what was going on with the P's and the T's and the popping? And I was like, yeah, I didn't notice it as much, but I do know there is some, like, if we talk over each other at all, any one of us, it cuts one or the other's mic. It's very distracting. So I know that's kind of the satellite thing going on. So I didn't know if it was that or if it was the popping, but having that many people jump out at once, let's hope it's the cord.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we fixed it.
I think so. Let's see here. All right. Episode 1944. Mike, please tell me the woke Bay doesn't believe World War II ended in Europe in
I totally looked it up.
1944.
I was wrong.
It ended in May of 45. Japan ended in August of 45. You've got DuckDuckGo and Google machines to confirm instantly, and it is still incorrect.
No,
Do better. Good day.
corrected
I
myself
said good
afterwards.
day, sir. Let me email. Shut up.
That's why I switched. I was like, oh, 44 is the gun.
So thank you, Brett. Yes, Garrett promises to do better. He does have a Google machine in front of him. So, yeah, it's going to go over my head. 1944, 45. Some of these people get very, very.
No, I know.
So.
I get confused because
Gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to answer that.
have
Yeah,
a
I know the
poster.
40s, starts in the 30s, ends in the 40s. And
I have a poster on my wall that has like a dated, like it's a picture of the nuclear bomb testing over at Bikini Atoll, and I think it's dated for 44, and I just automatically assumed in my brain something 44 happened around World War II, and totally had a high brain moment.
yeah.
Mike, I was watching. What the fuck was I watching? Oh, I was watching Piers Morgan show.
Yeah,
You ever watch
I
his
have
show
been.
on
It's
YouTube.
It's
He's
pretty good.
Yeah. Sometimes they get off
Yeah.
the rails, like fighting
Yep.
with each other, but like Tank, whatever the fuck his name
Cenk
is.
Uygur.
Cenk Uygur. But they did one on like the JFK conspiracies and stuff, and one of the people that they had on there who had investigated it a lot recommended that documentary that you were talking
Oh,
about.
really?
About the
Parkland-
doctors.
Parkland doctors.
Yeah.
I want to say that was maybe Amazon Prime.
Paramount
Is it
Plus, I
Paramount
think
Plus?
he said.
Okay. Yeah, it's there's certain people like there's creative editing that can go on in documentaries. We've seen that unfortunately a lot, where they can take things out of context. They can create their own narrative. What is impossible as a narrative to create is 7 surgeons who all have the same story, and that story has not changed in their details of it for 60 years. And knowing that this is the first time they've ever gone on camera, because it was made crystal clear, like, shut the fuck up. And so for those guys, they had decisions to make about how much am I willing to say and risk literally being disappeared, because they wouldn't be the first or the last if that's the case. And so now enough time has gone on. It's definitely worth hearing from them about, but I've also heard other credible people be like, yeah, this is nonsense for these reasons. Hopefully there's some light shed on that when these files are released. They're long overdue. But I'm in the camp, and I know some people disagree, but I'm in the camp that there were multiple shooters and he was absolutely shot in the neck from the front. So,
I'm going to watch it. It's on my It's on my list.
I'd love to talk to you about it, maybe next week or something if you watch it.
I'll watch it.
Yeah,
for sure.
there's no football this weekend,
Yeah.
so you might as well. All right, we'll kill it there.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Garrett, I'll see you tomorrow. Amy,
Yep.
I don't know. I'll talk to you later. I'll text you later, but We're gonna
Okay.
we'll do a
Sounds
member
good.
show tomorrow. Patreon.com/TDC podcast. Become a member and get that extra show each week. So have a good one, everybody. We'll